Wake up, everybody. It is time for another social discording podcast. I'm your host, Bander SN, joined by, in the red, Joey Spicy Fries.
Hello.
In the yellow, with a camera and a sweet, soft filter, DJ Zax. And
we're trapped.
For the second week in a row, in the green, new box, we got NotAndrew.
What's up?
This is Social Discording, a podcast about people who are social discording in our homes for the last... Are we at 3 months now? God, what is it at?
Yeah, it's about 3 months.
It's up there.
Today's good. I'm good.
How's the social distancing discording going?
I mean, I'm used to it by now. It's just not, masks, itchy shins, bad haircuts. It's all in a day's work.
It's all in a day's
COVID, it's all good.
Yeah.
Hanging in there. I think that's what everyone can agree on. Hanging in there, right?
Sure.
My world's on fire. How about yours?
Yeah, it's pretty on fire out here. It's hot.
Today we are talking about the one and only PlayStation 5 reveal event. It was last Thursday, 2 days ago. We're going to give our thoughts on all the games, all the fun stuff. It is going to be taking up the entire show. Hope you guys are ready for some PlayStation nonsense. We've got a couple of... what was I talking about? Oh, we've got a couple of esteemed historical PlayStation users here, Mr. Spicy Fries and myself. DJ Zax has also dabbled in the PlayStation brand himself.
Dabbled is the word.
Dabbled. He stopped during the PS2 era, I believe. And then we've got the Xbox.
I had PS3.
Oh, did you?
I did.
And we have the Xbox homie. We've got NotAndrew, who's going to be just memeing. He's just here for
I'm ready.
He's just here for a bad time. He's just here for a bad
mission
time.
statement here is to turn him over to the
dark side.
No.
Or
PlayStation is not the dark side.
could very well be simping at the end of this discording episode.
I guess we'll see. We'll see.
So let's just talk about the presentation first, because I noticed some crazy things about it. First off, everyone thinks that the presenters in the show were all CG, and that's really weird. Did you guys notice how weird they looked?
They were definitely CG, right?
No, they were not. There's no way.
No.
But like they look,
Not even like a filter or something.
There's something about the filters, something about how they did it made them look funny, but it was because I think they did all this consistent technique for filming them. It all just looks weird. But it's kind of a weird thing where it's like Sony hasn't talked about it, but it's also like they don't need to talk about it because it's probably not a thing. And if it was a thing, they would have said something in the presentation to get people like hyped up, right? But they didn't. So it's like, and that would have been really expensive to not actually reveal that. So I don't even know. It's such a weird thing. I don't think it's really
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think the first time I noticed it in the presentation was somebody's shirt, like collar, was very ruffled, and it looked
Herman Hulst's collar.
Ruffled?
Yeah, it looks so weird.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Maybe it was just the video compression. If they all sent in like home videos,
I think they did. Because Sony wanted a very, very clean show, and you can tell by the way their production was, is that they wanted the show. If you went back to 2019 and watched this video, you would not think that we were in the middle of a pandemic and everyone was working in this weird way. This would just look like a presentation, and that's the thing they were going for. In fact, the crazy thing is, not once did they talk about pandemic stuff, and not once did they mention like Black Lives Matter or anything like that. Which, I don't know. I feel like they should. I mean, they've done it on their social media posts, and I think that it would have been, they should have done something here. But I think the fact that they didn't is almost kind of impressive in itself, because it's like, it's just like this weird thing that doesn't fit where we are currently.
Yeah,
obviously,
whenever I watch a Sony presentation, I can always anticipate it being like high production value, it looking nice and very formal and very like, buttoned up. But you're right, Joe, like to not acknowledge anything going on in the world seems almost like I was watching aliens present to me. And then they looked CGI
it's
and the
so
whole thing.
Weird.
It's very like lizard person, right?
now I have a question. The first the first video game they opened with was Spider-Man, correct?
No.
Technically speaking, they opened with GTA. Technically, they opened with the PS4 montage. But yeah, Spider-Man.
I would count GTA as what they opened with as far as a game.
But as far as what Dylan said, yes, Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the first game they wanted to show off.
Now, I'm not like trying to read into this or over speculate. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Do you think that was purposely put first, per se? Like, I feel like maybe they could have done something with Black Lives Matter and the Spider-Man, being it's obviously Morales. It's the Black Spider-Man.
I think it speaks for itself, but I think that because it's the launch title, and I think it's the launch title, it's not confirmed, but it's the Holiday 2020, and it was the only one that was really Holiday 2020, so I assume that is launch, because I can't imagine it wouldn't be launch. I think it just lines up because of the fact that when the way I pictured this press conference is that Horizon Zero Dawn was going to be the launch game, Spider-Man would be teased with gameplay, and God of War would be the very last game that they showed off. That didn't happen. Spider-Man is the launch game, and Horizon was the last game they showed off. So in general presentation logic, you want to show a reveal that's coming very soon at the very beginning to get people really hyped for the presentation, and then the one more thing at the very end that's like a little bit more into the future. That doesn't necessarily have that release date thing. Like imagine last year's Nintendo Direct September. No, is it last year's or was it 2 years ago? 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Nintendo September Direct. They opened with Luigi's Mansion, and then they closed with Animal Crossing. And you have Luigi's Mansion, which came out a year later, and then Animal Crossing came out a year and a half later. And then the direct right after that, they opened with Mario Maker, which came out very soon afterwards, and they closed with Zelda Link's Awakening, which came out a little bit further ahead. That's sort of like the ebb and flow of conferences. So the fact that Miles Morales was the first game, I think it was just convenient.
Because it's coming sooner than the rest.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. That makes sense.
And it's hype as fuck, I was just...
It is.
Oh my god.
Miles Morales Spider-Man looks great. It looks awesome, but I think that they sort of botched. Someone from Sony Europe said that it was like an expansion of some sort, but he was sort of talking a bit technically. Joe, maybe you know a little bit more.
In the wise words of one Greg Miller, if you ever are listening to an interview with someone named Vice President Executive of Games Distribution, whatever nonsense they're saying, you shouldn't take for as exact number, because they do not know what they're talking about. This was like a Sony executive, not from Insomniac, not like a developer who was just like, yeah, it's an enhanced version of the Spider-Man game. It's like an expansion. It's like no, don't bad person. And like Insomniac came right back. They're like, it is a standalone title that is in the Spider-Man universe. This is a standalone game, which we can extrapolate and say that this is like what they call a side quill. It's a side story sequel project that's a little bit smaller in scope, but still kind of like a nice like smaller game to let you wait before the next major title in the Spider-Man franchise. So
sure, well, it looks cool. I'm excited.
So excited.
There's a few things within the press conference that really made me think like, oh, dang, I wish I had a PlayStation. Miles Morales would be one of those.
It was one of my favorite games in 2018, and
Spider-Man was really
can't
good.
Can't wait. The one thing I wanted to say is that a lot of people were talking about how, like, with all the Black Lives Matter stuff, a lot of people were talking about how they were criticizing this because the whole thing with like white male characters are the lead protagonist, and if it's a minority lead character, it's pushed down to like a side game, and the fact that this is sort of like a side game almost, smaller in scope. And I think that because we don't know what Spider-Man 2 is going to be, I don't think we can, I think that this could lead to even bigger and better things in the Spider-Man universe, and I don't think that's something that we should be criticizing Insomniac for, because Insomniac does such a great job with their projects and their like diverse range of games and stuff like that. Like I would imagine that Spider-Man 2, the actual Spider-Man 2, is you get to switch between the two characters, because that's
Yeah, I
where
was gonna say that'd be really cool if like this leads to a multi-dimensional form of a game.
I
that
think
works. Like Shattered Dimensions was something, but this would be something way better.
I think with how they're teasing the events of Spider-Man 2, because they're talking about, and spoilers for Spider-Man for the ending of Spider-Man, they're teasing like Green Goblin stuff and Venom stuff. I think that Spider-Man.
I'm just kidding.
I think that Spider-Man 2 is going to be focusing on those two aspects as their front and center pieces. And I think that a third Spider-Man game is where they're going to be like, let's fucking go. Let's get some Ghost Spider. Let's get Noir Spider. You know, some Spider-Verse stuff, which would be really cool.
Spider-Gwen, yes.
But I think this is a great opportunity to get like the Miles Morales Spider-Man character up to speed and on par with the level that like Spider-Man himself is getting through, which I think is really important, because obviously there needs to be some sort of tutorial system in this game and the next game. And having a inexperienced Spider-Man be that sort of like, oh, this is how you get to get your footing kind of thing is important. So I'm all about it. I love Spider-Man. I
agree. I am too.
Yeah, and I trust Insomniac's vision, because in the new Ratchet and Clank game, which we'll talk about next, there's a second Lombax, and I guarantee you're gonna be switching between these two. And I had an idea. Let me pitch to you this idea. Well, I mean, it's not my idea. It's probably their idea, because that's probably what they're going to go. It's called Rift Apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see in the trailer that Clank gets separated from Ratchet, right?
Yes.
And you meet this other Lombax. And during the presentation, the big showpiece thing they're showing off is these different dimensions popping up and Ratchet jumping in between a bunch of different worlds seamlessly and super quick, right?
Yes.
Right.
You're going to be able to jump between Ratchet and this female Lombax or Clank instantly, and you're going to be entirely different worlds that you can jump between, and that's going to be the dynamic mechanic of like jumping between.
It's very interesting.
Wasn't there another game like that?
GTA 5.
Yeah, that's right, where you could just hop between characters really quick.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, but it wasn't quick. It took a long time. The game had to load a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Right, but
Whereas this game will be more smooth and as if instant. Hopefully.
That's the idea.
PS5.
Power of the PS5. Power of the SSD.
Cool. They should make I'm blanking on his name. What's the green guy in the suit from Ratchet and Clank's name?
Captain Quark?
Quark. Captain Quark. Yep, Captain Quark. He should be in it too.
He probably will be. I'm very excited for it. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Me too. It looks like a lot of fun.
And just a public service announcement for you mischievous people: don't Google search that female Lombax, just for your own good. keep your feeds clean. Joe? Keep your feeds clean. That's all we need. Next game. I'm a Dylan. Gran Turismo. Are you a Gran Turismo kind of guy?
I'm busy looking something up really quick.
Andrew, you're a Forza person. How do you feel about the PlayStation equivalent of the Forza franchise, Gran Turismo 7? Anything?
See, Gran Turismo was great back in the day. It used to be something that like my cousins and I would spend like a ton of time on. But, over the years, the quality has just sort of been the same. Like, it's looked pretty, don't get me wrong. Great game. Gameplay is still good, but it hasn't really like pushed the envelope in any sort of meaningful way. And I feel like Forza has just sort of become the dominant racing sim. Now that title can always change back.
For sure.
Do you think that's the commitment to that sort of open world, almost RPG like experience that Forza Horizon has? Is Motorsport more like Gran Turismo? I don't know anything about Forza.
Yeah, I would say GT has a lot more in common with Forza Motorsport versus the Horizon series. The Horizon is more like of an arcadey open world game, where Motorsport and GT are very similar in terms of like
more traditional
really fine-tuning track performance.
Yeah.
You're not going to be going off of ramps in Forza or GT.
Why not? Come on, baby. We can do that. It's the power of the PlayStation 5. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big realistic racer guy. I think that they always need these pieces because they're always great showpiece titles. They're as good of a showpiece title as that Pelican player's sweat on his face. CG face. What's his
has a
name?
name.
Zion Williamson.
That's it.
Zion Williamson. Okay.
Zion Wilson. Yeah, he looked very sweaty.
Very
It
sweaty.
looks great.
The power of the PS5.
PS5.
Next on the list is Project Athea, which is Square Enix brand new title, new IP accordingly. This was rumored to be Final Fantasy 16, and we don't know for sure if it's not going to transform into Final Fantasy 16 at some point. But as far as we know, this is a brand new title. It is PC and Xbox. Xbox. PS5 exclusive. And looks like the character looks really cool, and the art design looks like breathtaking, but other than that, we didn't really get to see much. The writing team is really cool on it, though. They have a really, really cool writing team for it. Gary Whitta. Anyone have anything to say about it? Plant move.
It looks cool. It looks like Black Desert Online meets, Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Some of these things it's hard to take more than like a hot take on it, right?
Yeah,
it's like a cool trailer. We'll see what it looks like when it comes out. Right?
I think the only reason that I'm actually more excited for it than not is just because Gary Whitta is working on it, which is just cool to see.
Famous for Rogue One, Star Wars, right?
Rogue One, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Book of Eli. Speaking of, we weren't talking about Denzel Washington. Next on our list is. Could someone boot up the list of games and tell me what order they are in? I forget what's supposed to come next.
I got you.
think is it Kenna? Was Kenna next, or no? Maybe it was maybe it was something else. Oh, it might have been the graphic thing with all the different spooky lights.
Let's see here.
I am looking it up along with everyone else right now.
Oops. Oh, the list I got's wrong because Godfall comes after Gran Turismo. That's not true.
Was Kenna the one that looks like PlayStation Pikmin?
Yeah. So I have a. We can talk about that right now. In fact, on the Reddit, people were talking about how the team that's making this is the same team that made this amazing Majora's Mask fan made CG movie, little CG movie short, which was just like the intro of Majora's Mask. It is a beautiful little short. I encourage everyone to go watch it. It's called a terrible fate, I think. Majora's Mask: A Terrible Fate. And all that tells me is that this is going to be like a fucking Legend of Zelda, Pikmin, amazing game. I'm so excited for it. I think it looks so cool.
I don't know if this is in order.
Yeah, I'm not finding
it's not. No, it's not in order.
I'm grabbing our reaction video, which you can watch at youtube.com/BanderSN right now, or our highlights video as well. I'm gonna scrub through this real quick. Yeah, no, Kenna looks so cool.
I was looking up the female Lorax, and it's
Lorax
or what? Lorax?
Oh my god!
Oh,
you know what I meant.
Dylan looking up some Lorax Rule 34 in his spare time.
Hey.
Lombax. Oh, Stray. Stray was the other game, which was the game with a bunch of robots, and you play as the cat.
The kitty.
Love the idea. Great concepts. Can't wait.
I want to see gameplay from it, but
listed as a timed exclusive, right?
Yeah, I can imagine. Indie game, probably not permanent.
So what does that mean? Console exclusive or coming to PC?
I don't know for sure. I imagine it's just a timed exclusive for console. But maybe, I don't know.
Excellent. Looking forward to playing it on my Series X.
I have a thing on my phone. I have a graphic with all the things on it that I took pictures of. Oh yeah, I do have it. Good job, Joe. Stray is PS5, PS4, PC. According to this. Oh yeah, and this does list timed exclusives. So this is just PS5, PS4, PC. According to this. But yeah, I want to see a little bit more gameplay of it. But other than that, that's pretty cool. The Housemarque game, which is an actual exclusive, Returnal, which is one of the only games I've ever seen featuring an old middle-aged woman. A middle-aged woman, not an old middle-aged woman.
This game looked very interesting to me. It had that alien-ish vibe, and
Big time.
It was definitely something I would try out.
I like that the cinematic trailer kind of pulls you in. It makes you kind of understand what you're going to be going through, very similar to like Deathloop, but with a more of a serious like horror vibe to it.
Right.
Which I criticized Microsoft's conference with Scorn. That one freaky alien wiener game.
I remember. That one had
Very,
alien
really
vibe.
gross. Yep.
Drippy alien wiener game.
Bloody as can be.
And that trailer, you kind of understand what the theme of the game is, but you don't really understand what you're going to be doing. Whereas with this Returnal game, you can kind of see sort of the concept of the game. It's like you're going to be dying a bunch of times, coming back, and everything's slowly changing around you, which is why I like this cinematic versus the other one. And then they showed gameplay, so it's like
Can't complain with that.
Like that's how you do a reveal for a harder to understand game from your traditional CG trailer.
For sure.
And who's making that one, Joe?
House Mark. They are not a Sony first party, but they publish or they develop Sony. It's not a Sony owned company, I think, but they mostly only produce games under Sony, under their first party platform. So they made Resogun, I think was one of their last games. It was a launch title for the PS4. Probably the best launch title on the PS4.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to walk me through some of these because, outside of the PlayStation loop here, I'm not very familiar with the portfolio that some of these guys are coming in with. So it looks cool. I think I made the joke earlier that it looks like I'm going to Returnal that game to GameStop. But that's all I got for it.
Wonderful joke. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to someone who really impressed me during this whole PlayStation conference, and that was myself for nailing every single what is this game gonna be? It's Little Big Planet, it's Resident Evil, it's Ratchet & Clank. I was 100% in this conference, and I just want to shout out myself.
Joe is a simp to himself.
I thought of something. I thought of something that I want to do for the next time we do another conference, which I think there's an EA conference next week, which we won't make a huge deal out of, but maybe we'll do something for. Because they're going to show that new Star Wars Space Pilot game. What if we had whiteboards and we wrote down what we thought and then revealed it at the end? That way it's not just an hour of me screaming, "Oh, it's this game or this game," for the entire time.
That would be cool.
And so it gives you guys a chance to take a guess.
Sounds like a great game.
Might be fun. It might be fun to add that to the drinking rule list, where it's like if you can guess the game, you don't have to drink or something like that.
That'd be a good idea. We can give that a
point to get drunk.
The point is to have fun, and honestly, the drinking game went really well. Surprisingly, we didn't get that drunk. Like we were pretty. I was like
we drank more than we should have, definitely with the exclusion of Trevor, but still worked out fine.
I enjoyed it. I think that was a really good system that we did.
Mm-hmm. Going off of your shout out, you mentioned the game that's coming up next on the list. That was Little Big Planet, no?
Which is Sackboy's Big Adventure.
That's it.
Which is a 4-player co-op Mario 3D World-esque focused platformer. Not Little Big Planet, not like a creation thing. As far as we know, it looks like a focused 3D platformer.
Yep.
Who's a Little Big Planet person?
Like a lot of fun. I am.
Dylan?
I could not care less about it. In fact, I'm actively angry about it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
In fact, if you like this, I hate you. Dylan, weren't you into Little Big Planet?
Sackboy is uninteresting. It's like a sad attempt at trying to be Mario, and I would rather see something unique instead of just a copycat.
I think it's always good to have your approachable platformers, and it's not like, I mean, at this point, people copying Mario, it's a dime a dozen people like copying like things that Mario has done for years and whatnot. And I think Nintendo's, I think that the more people, for me personally, when I see people do games that are, especially with 3D platformers and platformers in general, to me, that always just says, like, people are going to get more into the genre of 3D platformers, which is going to encourage more people to make them. It's going to be good for me because I love them. So the fact that Little Big Planet can copy Mario all at once, because one Little Big Planet's been mostly good, so it's only a good thing, in my head.
I agree. I agree completely. It was fun for the PlayStation 3, and I'm sure this will be just as fun, if not more.
Yeah, I guess for fans of the genre, as they say, have at it. But that's not going to move the system for anyone. It's just like a nice thing for those that are already sold on it, right?
Not everything can be Sea of Simps or whatever you Xbox ponies play.
Hey, Sea of Simps is great, okay?
Oh my god! I just wanted to say with Little Big Planet. It's like Batman. It's like Batman and Spider-Man. How they don't technically compete with each other because a kid picking up a Spider-Man comic is going to be like, "Oh man, Batman too! I want to read that." And they promote it. They promote themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next game.
I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
You asked for me for my opinion, and I never got to give it.
Sorry, I saw you kind of like making the face of like I want to say something, but you never actually like chimed in. So, but go ahead.
No, so I have played Little Big Planet, and so obviously,
real quick, you were a fan of Little Big Planet, right?
Yeah.
Was that like a thing you were really into? Not really, really into, but like
not like I wasn't like deep into it. Like I played it, and enjoyed it. I wasn't like a fanatic. Like I probably won't pick up this game just because I don't really care for it at this point in my gaming interests. But I do think it's cool that they're bringing back the Little Big Planet title. And like Joe said,
it's a good IP.
Good IP. It'll be fun. And I'm sure if they are able to have some online multiplayer that is constantly updated and constantly worked on and a fun community around it, it makes for a good time.
It's better than Knack. I'm glad they're doing this than going back to Knack. So,
Yeah, you know what? In comparison to Knack, this looks like, this looks amazing compared to Knack, I will say.
And we might as well talk about this now, since we're sort of in that same genre with, like with Ratchet and Clank and Little Big Planet. I keep saying, I'm going to say Little Big Planet. I'm not going to say Sackboy's Big Adventure, just because that's silly. And Astro's Playroom is the third one. Astrobot was a 3D platformer on PlayStation VR, which people have described to be the Mario 64 of VR platformers. And that's super exciting. And the fact that it was reviewed extremely well, I think it has one of the highest VR Metacritic scores of all time. And the fact that they are taking that character, one that looks like he fits in with this new line of PlayStation merchandise because of his color scheme, being that new sort of like face of PlayStation, like PlayStation's like, family-friendly characters. I think that's really cool. I like seeing like these these mascots take form and have their success. And he's kind of like the pack-in title for the PlayStation 5. He's kind of shows off with the new features of the stuff in this sort of smaller built-in title, which is cool.
I like it.
I like it too. Next game is called, I don't know the exact name of this game. It's called Destruction All-Stars. Yeah.
Wait, before we go into Destruction All-Stars, one question on Astro Boy. That's not in VR this time around. Is that right?
This one is not VR title. So we did drink. Unfortunately, we cheated. We drank a little too much on this one because it's not a VR title. I apologize. I will hand in my resignation later this afternoon once the podcast comes up. Destruction All-Stars looks like Fortnite meets Rocket League meets Twisted Metal meets Destruction Derby. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it. It looks like if it's free to play, that might make it successful. If not, then I don't know what to say about it.
It looks like a fun Demolition Derby game that will keep me interested for 10 to 15 minutes.
Odds are it's going to be the biggest thing in the world. It's going to be bigger than Fortnite, and I'm going to be like, bad game. You know me. You know me.
And Dylan is just going to pester you on relevancy for the rest of our lives.
Doesn't even have a PS5, but he'll still be like, look what they're doing over here.
Hey, Fortnite's still relevant, okay?
Of course it is.
Of course it is, Dylan.
Demolition All-Stars looks like hot garbage is what I would say. That game has no right being on that stage. That's nice that they've got games coming to the platform. I couldn't care less about it.
It is a PlayStation first-party title. It's PlayStation Studios, so might be good. Who knows?
Could be.
Next title featured was Kenna, which we've already talked about. I'm super excited for it. Really, I followed it on Twitter. I'm like, oh, tell me more. And then after that, we had Goodbye Volcano High. Yeah, which is like apparently
was that?
it was the game about all the dinosaurs in high school. It was like 2D sprite work. It's been described as like very
furry hate, but I will say that the game looks like we need some more like narrative adventure book style games, and I'm glad to see that everyone's sort of getting like a little bit of representation.
The game is described as intimate, sad, and very gay.
All right,
Hey, man.
Developers' words. Developer words,
like
not my own.
book.
Sounds like a good.
something that all of us would play.
Sounds
Oh,
like
yeah,
a good time to me.
Under theater. Oh man, my camera's not focusing again.
It has like it reminds me of like Life is Strange, right? Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Not something that I think is going to be like a huge commercial hit, but touches the heart, touches the soul, and that's important for the gaming genres, right?
Yeah. Joey, tell us about Abe's Odyssey.
I can tell you that it's a game that I used to play when I was a child, so I'm trying to recall all of that I knew.
It looks
But
creepy.
It does look creepy. I remember being creeped out a lot by it back then, and I am still now. The new title coming is Oddworld Soulstorm, and I'm very intrigued. I would definitely give this a try.
Cool. I think it's multi-platform too, according to this. Oh, it says... Well, maybe not. I don't know. I have no idea. After that, we had Ghostwire Tokyo, the first time being able to see that game. It is apparently a timed exclusive, along with Deathloop, which I don't approve of. I don't like when AAA companies time exclusive their games for no reason, because it's like, we already knew this game existed. You didn't say it was a time exclusive when you first announced it, so why are you like? It seems kind of shitty.
Right.
Maybe that's something that has to do with PlayStation. Kind of like, hey, come sign a contract with us.
It's both of them doing things that I don't really particularly care for. But the game, but that's not the developer's fault. That's Bethesda doing their thing. The game itself looks really cool, though. I am super, super excited for that. It looks really cool. It looks horror, but not too much horror, which is perfect for me, because I'm a little scaredy bitch. Anyone else? Ghostwire Tokyo?
I would
Ghostwire
play it. I would play it.
Yeah, I like the art style. It looks really awesome.
So cool.
Same. I agree.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. And after that, we got a little taste of
Jet the Far Shore, I do believe.
It's a weird
this
one.
Looks like one of those games where, I don't know, to me it just looks like you make a selection, then you just sit back and watch it unfold. And it's just not a game that I'm super into.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say on it because I don't really know what you're actually doing in the game. The description is kind of interesting, but other than that, I don't think we need to mention it too much more.
No, not really.
Godfall.
After that is Godfall. Yes.
Godfall is a PS4, PS5 exclusive, apparently. Maybe timed exclusive. I'm not 100% sure. 4-player co-op, kind of action brawler kind of game. Looks cool. I hated the music. Why did they choose that hip hop music for this? That was a dumb choice. There could be something we get into. It just depends. It's coming to Epic Game Store as well. So published by Gearbox, looter grinder thing.
What else has Gearbox made?
Borderlands.
That's right. Sounds familiar.
It's not made by Gearbox. It's published by Gearbox, though. So just throwing that out there.
Tomatoes, tomatoes.
Godfall looks cool. I agree. The trailer did nothing for me this time around. I feel like my opinion on that game changes every time I see it or hear about it. So.
It was on the PC Game Show today, and it looked good on the PC Game Show. I'll say that. Looked good.
Interesting.
Like, actually a fun time. Next we
next
had
up is Solar Ash.
Solar Ash. This is the game made by the Hyperlight Drifter team, which I haven't played. It looks cool. Kind of gives me some Sonic vibes, but
yeah, the running mechanic definitely looks Sonic-esque.
It's always one of those like indie games, lots of color and lots of cool symbolism and whatnot. But if it's good, I will hear about it when it comes out. If it's bad, I will never hear about it again. And that's kind of my opinion on a lot of these titles. So we'll see. It definitely looks something like something I would play if it was good.
Right.
Hitman 3. What was the caption on the slogan on it? It was like death
awaits.
Death awaits. What a cool slogan. What an awesome slogan. The music of this trailer was perfect. Looks so cool. Joey, you're a Hitman fan, aren't you?
I am in the sense that I've always enjoyed watching gameplay, never really played it myself, but I've always wanted to. So this definitely will be something I pick up. Hopefully we'll get around to playing the original games beforehand. Who knows?
I think Absolution is free right now on something. I don't know what it is free on, but it's free on something.
I'll look for it later. But yeah, this definitely looks like a game I'm wanting to play.
Do you think they'll go back to the episodic model, or is it like a full release this time around?
I think they like the episodic model. I don't know. There is one thing to know about this one, is that IO Interactive was recently under Square Enix, and the games were published by Square Enix. And they recently split off from Square Enix, and Square Enix let them keep Hitman, which is crazy to me. I like that, and Destiny. It's just insanity to me that these major companies are letting go of these IPs. But I guess weird age.
Indeed.
Weird times.
After that was Astro's Playroom, and which we've already talked about, and then Little Devils.
Little Devil Inside,
which looked cool, looked very interesting, very fun trailer, but has actually gone under some controversy recently because some of the little enemies that you fight are these like little tribal dudes with dreadlocks and masks with big giant lips on these masks, and people are not happy about this game. And
I didn't even notice.
No, it was for a split second, but they've been coming under a lot of fire for this. This is a Korean-made team, so you know, you can give them some sort of like benefit of the doubt if they just don't. That's just not something they recognize that. But as far as like, you know, public outcry, like they need to change that, because that is not that is not okay.
Pretty big.
Like what just to clarify, I'm saying like it's not. It's one of those cases where I don't think this was intentionally done to be racist, but it is kind of like, what? Change this. You guys need to know that that's not okay.
Yeah, incredibly insensitive for the times.
Right, but like I said, it's Korean.
Or just in general.
Joey, what's next?
NBA 2K21 is next.
Joey, what's next? It's a sports. It's a sports game. They show off the sweat. Literally, the only thing that's relevant in these games is the sweat.
They are saying it's going to be on a new engine. We'll see.
Oh, interesting.
What does come after that though is the island of Bug Snacks.
Bug Snacks.
Interesting looking game.
Bug Snacks. I don't know what kind of game it is, but it's sweeping the internet right now. Bug Snacks. Everyone's talking about Bug Snacks.
I think the little bit that they showed us, the confusion that they showed us, it didn't show us anything, but it was enough to make people interested.
Enough to make you remember it.
My take from it is just, you know, you are what you eat, because the Islanders, whatever, and food they turned into. So
my guess is that's probably the mechanic where you have to eat
a certain thing to progress.
Yeah, or maybe like eating things,
or maybe that's just how you want to look. Who knows?
Maybe it's kind of like if you have to. There's some sort of survival mechanic where you have to eat things in order to survive, but it changes how you interact with things. So you have to do objectives, but you also have to eat. So it's like, you know, kind of like that. Kind of like
it's a hunter-gatherer game.
Yeah. What's after that?
Demon Soul.
Demon Souls.
Souls. Yes.
That
is a very action-packed looking game.
Blue Point's outdone themselves. Do you guys know Demon Souls? It's the original Dark Souls, made by From Software, who then went on to make Dark Souls and then start a whole franchise or genre themselves. This is made by Blue Point, which they're famous for doing these like high quality remakes. So this is not made by From Software, but obviously with some sort of approval with From Software, bringing this classic title to the modern console, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, it does look awesome. Definitely looks awesome.
We'll play.
After that, it looks like we have Deathloop.
Motherfucking Deathloop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy. Like both that and Ghostwire Tokyo were like kind of the showpiece games for Bethesda last year, and they're like these cinematic trailers, which were better than just a normal cinematic trailer because you kind of got a good understanding of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, though, they both look awesome.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. I'm looking to pick up both titles.
I think, as long as obviously if they're good or not, we'll wait.
I mean, like I said during that presentation, it has that Black Dynamite vibe for me. So
60s, 70s, like that Fibbage art style, like the Fibbage graphics. I just think it's such a cool concept, and it's got more magic than I would have thought. Which some of the moves you do, like he just basically wags his hand,
like chuck people. Yeah,
so cool. I can't wait to do that.
Some like force mechanics in it.
It's again, a lot like Dishonored in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, it's that verticality and that kind of almost stealth-like gameplay. But I think I read somewhere someone described it as Dishonored has this mechanic where you feel bad if you get caught, whereas Deathloop is making it so that you don't like getting caught isn't like such a bad thing, because then you just get into this more actiony segment and it's okay to get caught. So it's not like there's stealth, but it's not always about stealth, which I kind of like that dynamic.
I agree.
So I guess Deathloop, we don't know a ton about it, but are you playing as both characters, the antagonist and
it looks like you can play as the antagonist at some point. Joe was saying something about her. What were you saying during the presentation?
Maybe a second campaign, or maybe my first initial thought was that at some point you would die from her and then you'd switch over to playing as her and then you'd kind of go back and forth. But maybe not. Maybe it's more like there's a second campaign or specific levels where you play as her, and then eventually you guys team up. Maybe.
Potentially.
I would love to see some gameplay of this where, maybe you load in as the main guy and you're playing through the campaign, and someone else like sort of invades your world as the hunter, and vice versa. You can play as the hunter and invade someone else's campaign.
Like multiplayer?
Yeah.
Kind of like Dark Souls Invasion.
Exactly.
I got those vibes. I got those vibes too. I feel like the fact that they didn't tell us about it, like the rest of the game looks so cool, and the fact that they didn't tell us about it is kind of interesting, because it's like it gets us talking about like, oh, what could that mechanic be? And all of these options sound cool. Like whatever it is. What's next?
Next up is Resident Evil 8.
Ooh.
Yes.
Spooky.
Ooh,
spooky.
Very, very dark, grungy, as always.
I don't have much to say on it other than it looks cool. It's Resident Evil. They've been on a tear. They've been on a tear lately.
Oh yeah, been a great franchise. You
should play 2, Dylan, if you have a chance to. That you got a chance to play it with us on Dunder Theater on youtube.com/bandersn. But you should definitely give more of that a try.
Last I played was 7. I have to play 2, but yeah.
I mean, 7. This is a direct sequel to 7, so good time to keep up with it.
Excellent. After that, it looks like we have Pragmata.
The first new Capcom IP in 4 years, and very Kojima-like.
Mm-hmm. Now, I had a weird guess when we first saw the trailer. I thought it was going to be Death Stranding 2, and the girl was the baby all grown up. But obviously, I'm wrong.
Well, but the thing is, like, so many people thought Kojima when they saw this. Because I was watching a bunch of reactions, you were right on the money with that with Kojima. We don't know what this game is. It's very far away. They said 2022. So,
whoa,
interesting. It gave me BioShock vibes because of the little girl.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Are we at Horizon?
We are at Horizon. Yes.
Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. It's
this game looks fantastic.
Nice showpiece title to end off the conference. No release date. I thought it was going to be the launch title, but I guess not. Which is fine by me.
Yeah, that's so surprising to me. I thought it was going to be a launch title as well. Do we know which games are going to be there at launch?
Honestly, I think just Spider-Man. Other than that, just like the cross-generational titles. Maybe one other title, and maybe a couple that they haven't announced yet. But I think it's just Spider-Man is their big.
They're just going to force everyone to play Spider-Man.
I mean, the thing about Spider-Man was Spider-Man is the best-selling Sony exclusive ever.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. I can agree with that.
It is. It's sold like crazy.
I didn't know that.
Not too shocking to me. It makes a lot of sense. You know, Spider-Man evokes a lot of feelings for people that are outside of the gaming world as well. So
definitely.
It's a big title piece. So yeah, I don't think that constitutes. I mean, as long as the game's good, which it should be, because it's fucking Insomniac.
Right.
I think just having that is enough to consider it a good launch. Plus, they have all the other like Assassin's Creed, Cyberpunk, Avengers all coming out day one as well. So I don't think there's any real problems there.
So that is a list of games. That's a great selection. I'm excited for a good amount of them, if not all of them.
Good showpiece titles, good indie games, good support, like just tons of different genres. It was a great showcase, and we're gonna talk about Xbox in a second. Let's real quick. Let's talk about the console. Andrew, what do you think of the console?
Looks terrible. I don't have to tell you. It looks so bad. It looks like a mix between my Wi-Fi router and my like air purifier. I think the controller looks amazing, but it's clear that the digital edition was meant to be
the real version,
the real vision of it, and then the other one's got this like I don't know, tumor on it.
Tumor, yeah,
tumor. Disk drive. Like it looks terrible, and then the like tower ears on it. I don't like it. Nothing about it looks good.
I've never not liked a console design before, and I'm not starting now. I think it looks cool, but I think everything looks cool, so it's not like I don't think I have a good opinion on it. I like that we have two consoles that both look like skyscrapers, but completely different skyscrapers.
It's funny. I've been seeing a lot of memes revolving around about like, oh God, what does it look like here? What does it look like there? It's a Wi-Fi router. It's this, it's that. I saw one this morning where someone took a Wii and they took a PS3 and they literally just fused it together, and that's what makes the PS5. I was like, yeah, I see I
like the binder on the
I like
Wii.
that one. We have the PS5 at home.
I think that there's a lot of like clearly there's a reason why both companies are doing stand-up designs, and I think that's for better airflow. And I think that specifically with the weird like flaps, it's meant for airflow.
I believe that.
I mean, it's console. You're barely going to look at it,
right?
And all things considered,
you want more functionality than aesthetic.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
But if you like that aesthetic, you like that aesthetic.
My TV anyhow, so I guess it doesn't matter what it looks like. But man, did they shit the bed on this one? It looks bad. It does not look good. It looks like a toy.
Well, I mean, 100 million sales later, I don't think you can say they shit the bed.
Better than a fucking.
Well, it'll sell fine because it plays video games, and boy, does it look like it plays video games. So I guess they got that going for it.
You gotta love
Andrew, you got your choice. You could pick the refrigerator, or you could pick the modem.
Modem.
But you know what? I will say, I do give them props for trying something different. Like obviously, Xbox is just coming out with literally like a box.
Yeah, but even Xbox is doing something different because I mean it's like a PC tower. It's completely different.
That is true, but I do commend PlayStation for not only
changing up their if it's not broke, don't fix it mantra.
I know I already made memes. I'm just gonna say one more. I saw one more that was freaking hilarious. It was like it showed all the systems of PlayStation, all the systems of Xbox, and for each console, it was like there is always room for improvement. And then there's just Nintendo. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Classic. Wait, go ahead, Dylan.
I was gonna say though, I do actually appreciate that they have two different consoles coming out, the CD disc and non-CD disc, and maybe there might be some difference in storage capacity in the non-CD version. But
you made a great point with that about how we actually don't know what's going to be the cheaper version, because in theory it should be the discless version or the digital edition, which is cheaper. But you talked about how like what if it's a much bigger SSD storage space, and that could drive up the price.
Yeah, so 2 terabytes in
there. The whole price thing is such a crazy thing right now because to get into a little bit of video game history, when the PS3 first came out, the Xbox had already been on the market at $400, I think, that the original Xbox was priced at. Xbox 360, sorry, not original Xbox. And the PlayStation 3 came out, and they're like, we've got $600 for our PS3, and everyone fucking just juiced on them. And they almost lost the generation. Technically speaking, they caught up, and I think they actually got, like, surpassed the Xbox 360 by the end of it. But for the most part, people consider the Xbox 360 as the winner of that generation. So Sony came in, PS4 and Xbox One thing, ready to like fight on the price and hit a very competitive price point. Lucky for them, Xbox decided to be like, here's your Xbox plus the Kinect, and it's mandatory $500. And Sony was just ate their lunch. They're like, $400, no online only, and they destroyed this generation, doubled the sales of the Xbox. Oh, hang on a second, I'll be right back. You right back? Okay, come on. Sorry, Haley's leaving for a trip. She's not. She looks like she was packing her bags and leaving forever. In the background of my video, she's not. She's going to see some friends.
He is kicking out his girlfriend mid podcast.
So I think both companies are very scared. They're very scared of not nailing the price point, because Xbox knows. Xbox has lost a generation, definitively lost a generation because of price point. Mm-hmm. Sony almost lost a generation because of a slightly hiccup on price point. So Sony sees Xbox and saw their failure and said, we can't do that. We cannot do that right now. Xbox knows because they've had a bad failure, and they're like, we cannot do that. So both of them are playing this chicken game where neither one of them are announcing price point. They're both just like waiting to the very last minute, apparently. And the fact that Sony brought out this second version of the PlayStation is crazy to me, because that means that they can create these two tiers of prices.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right?
I mean, it's only going to be like $100 to $50 difference, right?
Maybe because people were some. What, Dylan?
What if there's even another variation that we don't know about yet, which is the diskless version, and there's two different storage capacities? I mean, and that can really allow them the flexibility to really manipulate their prices around Xbox.
I feel like
the one with the tiny storage capacity is exclusively meant for Call of Duty Warfare. That's
it's a Warzone only console.
let me strategy on this part where they showed the two consoles, but what if they were to wait for Xbox to come out with their price and be like, all right, what are we going to do here? Let's put one console out and see how the price goes. If everyone likes it, cool, we'll put the other one out. If not, retract it back.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ideas. Let me throw some stuff at you. One, Xbox there is another Xbox besides the Series X not rumored. I mean, it's rumored, but it's essentially like we know that there is another Xbox because there's been like kind of leaks about it. It's called Project Lockhart, and it's meant to be a much more scaled down version of the Series X. So not as much power, but still have those like SSD, like faster systems that makes it, run 1080p, 60 FPS, can do like a little bit of ray tracing and stuff like that, just not as well as the Xbox Series X. And it's significantly scaled down. So that looks to be like what could potentially be a $300 console, essentially. Maybe even cheaper, who knows? So for a while now, we've been operating with the assumption that Xbox has like this 2-tier price structure that they can throw out. If they do the Lockhart, we don't even know if they're going to announce the Lockhart for launch yet. And now that Sony's like, we have two consoles as well, kind of, there's now this crazy dynamic of what everyone's going to do. And obviously the fact of it is, like, they can just be like, oh, $500, and Sony can be like, oh, $400, and then Xbox will be like, just kidding, $500 as well, or no, $400 as well, and whatever nonsense. But the fact that Sony also announced all those different peripherals alongside of the PlayStation means that they are trying to get into the consumer's head of like, you want the PlayStation, but you also want all these other things that go along with it. Like that's the brand, that's the unified, platform idea. Like Dylan knows he's got all of his Apple gear on right now. Do you have your watch on?
If anything, Pasky's more Appled out than me right now. I do have my watch.
There you go.
Yeah,
he's got his iPhone.
Well, he's got AirPods, the Beats. I've got all. I'm on a MacBook right now.
That's a thing, and that is a valuable.
Baby.
That is a valuable like market. I mean, I'm kind of Samsung. I have my Samsung phone and I have a Samsung TV, and another monitor over here. Oh, and my Samsung 500 gigabyte SSD, which is in my computer, which means nothing. But the fact that they're throwing all these peripherals means they can charge a bit more of a premium for these peripherals, get that mindset of the consumer, and save money by making the console cheaper. So they can take a hit on the console and make it back up with peripherals. But in addition, selling a digital-only console means that you are going to be making ham over fist back on software sales. Like, you're going to be making a much higher margin on software sales. So maybe it's not a $50 difference. Maybe it's a $100 difference. Maybe it's a $200 difference, because they just take whatever their average software attachment rate for the PS4 is. They can extrapolate that and say, okay, well, if the average consumer is buying 6 games for the entire generation, and we are making 20% more, I don't know the actual margin for retail, 20% more on software for this digital only version, we can take that 20% more. Let's say that's $20 more per game than we were doing with a disc version. And the average, let's say for consistency, let's say the average number is 5 games per consumer, and they make $20 more per game with the discless version. 5 times 20 is $100. They can sell that thing for $100 less, and they won't lose any money. And that could be a significant thing, because they said that they were struggling finding a competitive price point with the PS5. And no, it's not $800. Alex is crazy. I don't know why he said that. I don't know where he found that. That was bullshit. But
I think that, regardless of the peripherals and the attachment rates and all of that, I think just the brand PlayStation is so much stronger than the Xbox at this point that there's no way that, even if it did come out and it was more expensive and Microsoft sold at a huge loss, the PlayStation would still outsell it in every conceivable way. The games will still be these blockbuster hits, and it'll still be this thing. And I think it's a foregone conclusion. Like, Xbox lost at the worst time in the platform history to lose, because now it's kind of like Apple versus Android. There will be no reality in which suddenly Apple becomes like the inferior product, and all of the even the Android can outsell it and it wouldn't matter. It'll the iPhone and the Mac brand will still outshine it in every possible way. So PlayStation's already achieved
except for power,
great.
User feature, and Apple and we don't need to get into that.
No, that's what I'm saying is, like, Android in every conceivable way sells better, has better, products technically on a technical
in terms of
basis,
consumer mindset.
Right, but at the end of the day, like, what's going to be the fashionable brand, right? That's kind of what PlayStation has achieved.
Right, because Apple owned that fashionable. Well, that's why Xbox has been changing the message. One of their biggest goals was trying to change the message of, like, because they don't report console sales anymore, and there's a reason for that, because there's half as many Xboxes out there than there are PlayStations. And that's not just like 20,000 versus 10,000. That's 110 million versus like 55 million Xboxes, and that's a huge number. That's why they changed the message. They say console sales don't matter anymore. We're focused on our services. They want people on Game Pass. They want you to buy a computer and buy games on the computer, because guess what? They own Windows. If you're buying a game on Steam, then you've bought a Windows computer. And if you're buying a game on the Xbox platform on PC, if you're buying Cuphead on Switch, if you're buying if you're going to keep your Xbox One S and play Halo Infinite on your Xbox One S, that's still money for Xbox, and that's what they're trying to say they care about. Maybe it really is good business for them, but as far as they're concerned, they just want you on the platform, whereas Sony's like, we want you on the next gen. Xbox is like, we want you on the platform. Sony's like, we want you on the next gen. And that's such a different mindset, and that's so cool that they're doing these two completely different tactics.
Yeah. No, I think that a couple months ago we heard Phil Spencer talk a little bit about how he doesn't really see Sony as the main competitor anymore. It's like the future will be between the cloud services and the accessibility, and tapping into the African market and tapping into the
Chinese,
Western Asian markets and the Eastern Asian markets, right? So we'll see how that develops. I don't know what's the right solution, but as far as PlayStation goes, they did a great job showing off the PS5. I'm super impressed by it, and I'm a hater through and through. So I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds like Andrew came full circle, and he is going to purchase a PlayStation on day one.
Well,
We'll see.
with what Phil said, I think that it's important to recognize, when you talk about a console war, you have to kind of extrapolate your mindset beyond just the consoles themselves. And the fact that Microsoft is a much bigger company than Sony. Their stock price is way higher. They're worth much more than Sony. They do a lot more than just do the PlayStation. Whereas Sony, yeah, they have their TVs and some of their other technologies, but PlayStation is and their movie company. But Sony's a much smaller company. So for what Xbox is looking for, like, yeah, they're looking at Amazon, they're looking at Google and what they're doing and what they're bringing in, because they're going to be, if Amazon and Google can enter the video game market, not saying they can, because Google is shitting the bed with Stadia right now. If they can enter the market and be competitive, that's way more scary for Sony and Nintendo, because they're much smaller companies. For Microsoft, they can actually compete with those kind of companies because they have that kind of resource.
Yep.
Very extremely interesting times that we are entering right now.
Sure.
Who knows what's going to happen? It's very exciting, and the fact that there's all these different things and options available is great for us, the consumer. Yeah. So Joey,
what did you guys think about the hidden announcement there? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt there.
No, go ahead. Hidden announcement?
Oh yeah, they mentioned that the controller's got gyro in it.
Is that like a big thing?
Oh yeah, the gyro aiming on controllers is equivalent to kind of getting higher level of accuracy. So you're moving away from the stick.
Oh.
You're able to use the motion sensor and.
Hasn't the PS3 and the PS4 had gyro controls?
PS4 had gyro.
I think for a few things, but not on the same level as like the Switch, for instance.
Oh, so it's like a much more intricate gyro.
Yeah.
Ability. Okay, interesting.
Start chucking your controller around the room.
Well, I know for Dreams uses gyro for a little bit. Yeah. Joey, what is your final thoughts on the conference? We'll give it a letter grade.
I would give it an A.
Dylan?
It was solid.
Sold you on the PS5? Joey?
I'm sorry, what?
Sold you on a PS5?
For sure.
Dylan?
I am going to give it a B plus, and I'm still waiting to see what the Xbox is going to be, and I will make a decision. But I am highly interested in purchasing a console. But ultimately, I am PC Master Race.
PC Mustard Race. That's why you're the yellow PC Mustard Race. Mr. Green Boy down there. What are your thoughts on the what would you give the letter grade for the conference?
Letter grade, I'd give them an A. They did a great job. It's really hard to poke holes at them in any sort of serious way. I think the only thing that I can really think of is, there isn't exactly the Halo clone yet, but
a big multiplayer push.
Yeah, like a campaign-heavy first-person shooter that also has a long-standing multiplayer component. Something that I would love to see, like an iteration of Killzone or something. I don't know, something. But
Killzone, put that in the trash, garbage franchise.
I don't know,
Killzone, Resistance. Just get rid of them. We don't need them. We got better games to deal with. Well, I think that's Sony's strategy where they.
Oh, sorry.
Where they can just be like, we have Call of Duty. We're like the big Call of Duty push and the big Destiny push. Like those are your shooter franchises, even though those are available on the other platforms. Like I feel like Sony's like, let's let our studios be the big cinematic showpiece titles because the third parties are going to bring us those multiplayer titles. But for you, an Xbox person, you just have your Xbox and you play those games that you're more interested in anyway. So it's a toss up. I would like to see one big multiplayer title from them.
And what was your rating, Joe?
Yes,
an A+.
Hold on. We need to see if it's Pasky. Are you going to purchase a PlayStation? We can't beat around the bush here. We need the answer.
I need to see more. We'll check in next month after the Xbox conference, and I'll have a better answer.
I agree. I mean, you wouldn't want to make a decision now based off of Xbox's last presentation because God, that was awful compared to this.
That would definitely turn the tide.
I think back to that one
and calls from their home offices. And
I mean, it obviously they didn't commit to that one as hard as as Sony committed to this one, because this was Sony's thing. Like, they're not like there'll be a couple other things later on, but this was the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I hope Microsoft looks at this and being like, we need to be as good as that. Otherwise, what's the point?
Time to step up our game.
Yeah, A+. I'm gonna get a PS5. I've been sold on it. I have to play Spider-Man. It's just so good. Yeah, and I'm very excited.
Sly Cooper as well.
Bring back, rescue Sly Cooper from Egypt. He's stuck in Egypt. I'm very excited for see what Microsoft has. I really hope that they can bring the level of hype, and the fact that they're only doing a first party conference tells me that they have a lot of work to do. They really better have a show, some cool stuff to show. Yeah.
All they got to show is just Master Chief for like a good hour, and we'll all be happy.
I don't think that's enough. I think that they've done that before with Halo 5, and Halo 5 did not move the needle. They need to show Master Chief. Master Chief needs the new Halo needs to be as like jaw-dropping as God of War 2018. Like they need to show Master Chief and Halo Infinite in a completely different light that like redefines what Halo can be.
I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I'm going to say Halo Infinite is going to do just that. I think it's going to be the next level of online multiplayer and campaign. I think it's going to be like next gen, like next level.
I think the fact that they call it Halo Infinite says a lot. That they're going to be like, this is the one Halo for Xbox Series X. Like we're not making another one. This is going to be the one-stop platform, like almost like Destiny but Halo. That's very exciting.
I mean, there was Destiny too.
Right, but that's a conversation. That's Bungie did not want to make Destiny 2. They wanted to just make Destiny, but that was an Activision thing. Because Bungie wanted to make an MMO, and Activision wanted to make a yearly franchise. So we shall see. I'm very excited for what's coming up soon. And this has been a very long podcast. This was twice as long as I wanted to be, but I feel like we can't not just get into it.
We got a lot to talk about.
It's so exciting. PlayStation is exciting. Xbox is still exciting. There is still exciting things to see. They have to nail that conference, but if they do, we're going to be in one of the best. We're going to be in the best generation of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like this is like an Olympic like diving competition, and we're gonna, like
we're legit. It's the best part. This
and we're like, okay, next diver.
This is why E3 is necessary. It's fucking awesome. This was like the best E3. Like this is better than last year E3 just with this one PlayStation conference.
Quality presentation for sure.
Fuck Jeff Keighley. Fuck Summer of Games. Don't do this. Let's make it. Bring back E3, please. We need it. I can't not have E3. I need it in my veins. Anyway, this has been Social Discording, episode 8, I think. Banner in the blue, Joey Spicy Fries in the red, got DJ Zax in the yellow. First time on Facecam with all of his Laker gold, and Xbox boy, not Andrew. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
See ya.